My name is Cypher Morrison, and this is This Week in Car Audio. Tune in, tune in. This Week in Car Audio. Tune in. When we talking about bass, talking about chips, talking about rings, you ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio. Yeah. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio.
Welcome to This Week in Cardio with your host, the judge, Doug Stockton. Wow, I was tongue-tied there for a second. Trying to share some stuff. What's good, Jeffrey? What you been up to?
Did you forget who you were?
I did. It was ugly.
Uh-oh. I'm doing okay. Can't complain. Just hanging out on a cool Monday out here. Not too hot, even though we are technically in the summer days.
Well, we're already past the most pessimistic day of the year, right? So the days are getting shorter.
Oh, right. That summer solstice, right?
Yes.
I didn't even feel like it was the longest day.
It didn't feel that way, did
No,
it?
just,
At all?
No.
All right. I'm going to keep sharing. Did you have a show this weekend?
Negative. No.
Negative. So they did have, let's see here. Oops, cancel. They did have the memorial show in Fresno this weekend.
Oh, right.
Did you catch anybody about that?
I did see a couple of live videos from Joel.
Okay.
They were after the fact that it was live. I caught those, which was kind of cool. Yeah, man, Joel's doing his thing.
Okay. How was he doing? I didn't get a chance to do that. I was at a wedding. I was at a wedding this
He's
weekend,
doing
so.
fine.
Okay.
When he was doing bass race, it almost seems like he's kind of modeling his style after you. I mean, he's not quite there, but he seems like he's trying.
He's making the attempt.
He's making the attempt, doing pretty good. I think he just needs some more experience, and he'll have it down. But he's got his own style, so
There we go. That's good.
he's not afraid, I guess, to say the least. That and plus he's got I guess relationships with the competitors out there. So
Yeah, no, he does. I heard the turnout wasn't as good as they wanted or expected, but that's okay. Getting an echo on YouTube. Ah, shit. I was trying to get rid of that echo last time. You know what? I know what it is. It is. I'm muted there. And then go to Facebook. Are you still getting an echo?
Are we on YouTube?
Why is it not showing my thing?
Oh,
So
there we go.
yeah, hold on a second. I'm almost done sharing. They had specialty awards for all of the people. They had 5 awards, I guess. Let's see. I can see the YouTube one. Let me see if I can't pull this back up here on Facebook.
Was weather a factor?
No, it was like 85 degrees.
Oh.
And like almost no wind. So I don't have any text on Facebook. So, but you know what? I'm not seeing my Ninja chat either. There it is. But it's not. Let me see here something. Oh. Why is it not show? Oh, there we go. Yeah, still getting it. There we go. Now it's starting to show everything. Okay. There you go. I'm seeing Facebook now. That's weird. So I had this echo. There's the test. I had this echo and I tried to resolve it last week, and I thought I had it resolved, but so I'm gonna go here, and it looks like yeah, because I'm muted on YouTube. Oops, change guest name. That's a good catch, Jeffrey.
That was supposed to be a private message.
Shh! Don't tell him about behind the scenes. Um, but anyway, I talked to what's her name, Rosita,
Oh, okay. Oh, she
and
had a good day.
she did. She said she
Yeah.
won top dog and base race,
Yeah.
so that was good. Um, so yeah, Warren Jackman popping in. I still hear an echo. Says Matthew Stark. Like I said, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. Um, he says hello to the man. He must be talking about you, Jeff. Are you the man?
I'm a man.
You're a man. Yeah, it looks like everything's muted. I don't understand why I have an echo.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is odd. Odd.
Is anybody on a secondary device?
I am not.
Sound?
I am on my laptop, or
Yeah.
actually on my phone, but my laptop is muted.
Ah,
Yeah, it would. We would see he would light up if it was coming from him. But like I said, it's odd. I don't know. Man, forget it. The echo can't stop the show. And it's weird because it's only me, so that means it's something on my end, and I don't know what it is. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna lower my volume a little bit. Let's see if that helps the echo. It might not. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so they did specialty awards. It was like a subwoofer basket with a piece of acrylic over it. Each one for each of the people, and I guess they laid tribute to 5 different people. We got Matthew Stark popping in, and then Rosita said they were memorable. There was a lot of vendors there. There was food available for buying. So,
cool.
all that stuff was pretty cool. So, oh, I get it. So, Ray Smith is the man. All right. So, and that must be the mobile audio network. That's what he meant by man.
Oh,
Yes.
makes sense.
So, Ray, tell us about you and what's up.
I don't know where to start. I got into audio in the mid '90s and never really got out of it.
Uh-huh.
For a long time, I was doing DoD contracting and as a controls technician for the Coast Guard and the Navy. And wound up, my wife has got some medical issues and she needs me home at night. So she agreed to let me open a car audio shop, and it originally opened up as a DIY store. And now I run it full time as a full service install shop. Plus, we do manufacturing of our aeroports, the 8s, 10s, and 12s. And recently, in the last 8 months, we bought 3 new audio companies and are in the process of completely rebuilding them from the ground up.
Which companies did you buy?
We bought Chrome Audio,
Okay.
and you're probably familiar with them because they were based out of Fresno. We bought Vital Power, which was also based out of Fresno. Out of Charleston, South Carolina, we purchased FU Audio.
Okay.
And
Did they do the Funky Puppies?
No, they did something a little bit different.
Okay.
We actually have our first sub in our brand new lineup arriving in a couple of weeks, and I'm really excited for them to get here. It is a pretty massive sub. It's going to be a daily ground pounder,
Okay.
and we are also prototyping and developing our new SPL based subwoofer at the same time. So it's probably going to be the next one released.
All right. So did you restructure all of those companies, or did you just kind of purchase them and like just add your little sprinkle of Ray into there, or what?
Um, Basically, we're going to rebuild all of them from the ground up. Purchase, whatever existing inventory, and we are redesigning. Like with FU Audio, it's now going to have 5 sublines, range anywhere from 500 watts RMS up to 3,000 watts RMS in different applications between, daily ground pounders, your budget friendly subs, and then your high SPL subs. And then I've got a couple designs that I've got to work on and try to get patents submitted on. So I can't release any information on those. So FU Audio is primarily going to be subwoofers. Chrome Audio, when we purchased that company, we took all the existing inventory and are kind of, continuing with the product line, but are also developing new products. So some of the products that they had were going to be phased out, and we're going to be releasing new products going into probably 2026. FU Audio is, not FU Audio, but Vital Power is going to be more of the electronics, so it's getting revamped. The big Class D amps that everybody is losing their minds over at the moment, because there's the big amp war going on. But but Vital Power is primarily going to be electronics and amplifiers. Right now, we are doing a combined effort with Nello from Nello Vision. So we actually have been prototyping a product that is going to be released. It is something that is really near and dear to my heart that hasn't been available on the market, which I don't think anybody's ever come up with this.
Okay.
And we can talk about it briefly. We finally got all the programming done. We are days away from releasing it, so it's not a big secret. The number one thing, seeing as I've been in audio and I believe in testing, a competitor, the whole 9 yards, there are other products similar to this on the market that can tell you if your signal is clipped or clipping indicators out of amplifiers.
Yeah, doesn't Steve Mead has like an SMD1 or something like that?
It is a limited product, but yes, it is something like that.
Okay.
And I say limited because it's very specific. Owning a car audio shop, when you tell a customer that you set their amp clean at 40 hertz or 1 kilohertz, whichever the two that you pick,
right,
that is in no way, shape, form, or fashion telling your customer once they leave you or once they start playing music that they're going to continue to play clean music. That's because people are downloading rebased music, bass boosted, and from extensive testing, your RCA voltage at 40 hertz and at 70 hertz at a clean signal may not be the same voltage. You may get 3 volts clean at 40 hertz. You may only get 1.5 volts at 70 hertz.
Right.
And I don't know any competitors that go out and compete and play a 40 hertz test tone the entire time.
Okay.
So what we have developed and working with Nello, they're doing the cases, and we've done this brain trust to get it corrected. We have a product getting ready to be released that is designed to display RCA voltage and clipping status between 20 and 200 hertz in real time. Okay. So if you take your signal out of your head unit, it goes into our unit, and it has an OLED display. that shows you in real time what your RCA voltage is,
Mhm.
and it tells you whether or not it is clipping. Now, the other benefit to this is it is stereo, so you have a left and a right. It's not just a mono signal that you're checking.
Okay.
So we compare your left signal with your right signal, and anybody that's been in audio, if you've had one channel on your RCA go out, when are you going to find it?
Right. Well,
So
that's always my first check, right? You always check the easy thing. Check your RCAs.
always check.
Yep. We got Tristan popping in here. He's from Bridgetown, Barbados. So one of our international followers, watchers, whatever. He says, yeah, we tell our customers that same thing all the time. And then he says, poor quality recordings cause serious problems.
Absolutely.
So
So the benefit of that product is to be able to educate the consumers.
okay.
You know, a lot of people are running full bridge amps. They are what they are. However, most of them don't like more than about 2 volts on the input.
Really? So
Yeah.
back when I was doing building amps and all that, they would take as much as like 8 volts, and they would love whatever you gave them. When you got around 10, it kind of was, you were kind of pushing the limits of the amplifier at 10 volts. But everyone I knew would take 8 volts like a champ. So that's why we were building line drivers with amplifiers, right? You take these little tiny amplifiers and you turn them into line drivers so you can get 8 volts, 9 volts across 12 sets of RCAs or whatever,
Yeah.
So,
So interesting that you bring that up, because we do have a full service shop. We actually do have an AMD1, so we have an amp dyno. We have another manufacturer that's local to us that he sent me an amp, said, test this. I said, okay, no problem. Put it on a dyno, and we run, 90 amp hour C-Max on the dyno just to test it. And I gave him my feedback, and I was not super impressed with the output. And I typically, as an SPL competitor, I run a volt and a half on everything. It doesn't matter what. Because I know that I'm matching my amplifier's output to the input. Not that the gain is a volume knob.
it isn't?
No, it's
that knob's not volume?
Is
not.
contrary to popular belief.
That's right.
When I gave this manufacturer my thoughts on the output, his response was, you got to have 4 volts input on the amplifier for it to make power. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I hooked up a line driver, set it up at 4 volts, run it all the way back through, tested it, exact same output on the amplifier.
Really?
Yeah. And I've also tested, and this is crazy because a lot of people love the bass knobs that come with amplifiers. I have tested on the amp dyno anywhere between 3% and a 10% loss the moment you plug in the bass knob in the amplifier.
So I will tell you, back when I was designing amplifiers and had my own manufacturing company, I found that to be true. Super true. And no matter, the thing was, it wasn't every bass knob. I would go through 15 bass knobs to find one that I had almost no loss in. I had a loss in every single one, but I might go through 15 bass knobs before I found one that, I had one that I guarantee was at least 10% loss. I plugged it in and it was considerably quieter. And when you're trying to compete in DB drag, say, at that time I was doing DB drag, right? One note wonder. That loss was huge, especially when our big amps were only 2,000 watts. And then you're just giving away 200 of them watts, like, instantly? It's like, come on. So.
But that's something that, a lot of companies are not really interested in educating their consumers. And I don't know if it's from the manufacturing side or the customers aren't really aware that these things are problems.
Yeah. Tristan says we don't use them. You lose at least 5 dB. So they have a very good place, in my opinion, with in base race and top dog, right? Because you need that extended control. But for SPL, you know, heck,
when you're looking to gain that, or try to get those extra tenths,
yeah,
that's serious.
yep. By the way, Joel's popping in there. I see him in there. Long driven enthusiast. That's Joel. In case you guys don't know who that is. So, yeah, Joel from doing his show this weekend. And he's got like shows just lined up this summer. Asked Jeffrey and I, if we'd be able to do a 3X at certain times. And I don't know. I know my paperwork went through last week for Dallas. I just don't know when it. But all the papers are signed. I'm just waiting for the phone call. And speaking of Dallas, look who just popped in, Mr. Eric Hansen. So, but yeah, no, that's something people don't understand. I will tell you the ones that Josh T.W.I.C.A. Have you had a chance to even look, or are you familiar with Josh T.W.I.C.A.'s bass knobs?
No, not off the top of my hand, but bass knobs are kind of
No, it's different. His is considerably different.
okay.
So-
So
Those are in line with RCA bass knobs, right? Is that something
Yeah,
different than the ones that you plug into the amplifier itself using that data cable?
regular RCA bass knobs are different than what is plugged in the amplifier, just the way
Yeah.
that they're regulating the signal.
right.
Now, there's a big disparity in bass knobs, and I can't speak on that gentleman's knobs because I haven't personally tested it. I can tell you that there is a difference on the secondary market between, say, a PAC LC
Mm-hmm.
and the access knobs, and the internal resistance is different.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that Josh tested and went through. He went through, I think he said he did over 100 different wires, and Bass Knob Recovery, Rosa says that's the name of his. But I believe he went through over 100 wires to reduce the resistance in the wire itself. So he spent all that time, and so then that was one component, and then he's got a processor inside the bass knob, and then he went through a bunch of different rheostats, and truly, I mean, he charges, I think, what was it, Jeffrey? Do you remember? It was like $300 or $400
Right.
for his
the
bass knob, but there was a crap ton of engineering and like I said, the components he was using. I bet you the cost and the components themselves had to be well over $100 just in the components, not even being put together.
Okay, yeah, I probably should check one of them out.
Yeah. So I mean, it is really cool. It's got a digital display, tells you how much gain you're going, how much gain you're adding, and this and that as you're adding it. There is an advantage to them in bass race, I think. Eric Hansen says true top dog and bass race competitors don't use them. It's like cheating.
I've seen some strange bass race guys. I've seen a guy, and this was before they came out with the random number after so many times.
Yeah.
Who was that? He'd press play on the radio and walk away, and it'd come up 39.9 every time.
There was Steve Mick and another guy used to do that.
It wasn't Steve Mick. It was the guy in the little car. I think it was a trunk car. I think it was 29.9.
Was it who did we have on here from he quit doing it? He was a young kid and did the trunk. Do you remember that, Jeffrey?
bass race?
Yeah, him and Hoodie were the two youngest bass racers competing for a ring at one time. I forgot his name.
That might actually be him.
Okay. Yeah, it was him and Hoodie were both 16 or 15 and 16, and they were going, and it was them two were the last two for the ring. So no matter what, somebody under 18 was winning the ring. So somebody 16 years old or younger was going to win it. Mike Watson says, I've been around for a few years, and I'm still not confident enough to base race. Mike, you got to come to one of my shows one of these times. I'll show you how it's done. I'm the boss, and so we do beat the boss at the shows, and I've never been in the vehicle that I'm competing in, and I'll just sit in that car and do 9.9s all day. So it's not as difficult as people make it out to be. What the difficult part, in my opinion, of base race and top dog are, is knowing that you got to beat the guy next to you. Hitting the number is not that difficult. You got to start sometime, Mike. You can do it. That's from Rosa. Skip Rutland popping in. Says, evening, guys. How's it going, Skip? But yeah, that's, like I said, that's one of the base knob things. Like I said, when I was engineering amplifiers and stuff, the data cable plug-in telephone cord plug-ins for the base knobs were always bad. So yeah, I never found one I liked. Was it the PAC LC1 or whatever it is? That one, yeah, the LC1 it's a consistent bass knob. It's a workhorse bass knob, and if something's going wrong, that typically is a bass knob you can put in place and get it going. You know what I mean? So, just thoughts on that. So, do you use line drivers at all?
Only if I'm running more than 4 amplifiers.
Okay. So what's the deck of choice, Jeffrey? What did we come up with? Was the king daddy of all decks?
For base race?
Yeah.
Or like base race, I believe the preferred head unit was from Pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't even have to be, the top of the line Pioneer. I think it was just the fact that the amount of clicks you can get from the knob, on the head unit itself was like 60. So there was a lot of space, like to, kind of pinpoint where to, how to run your system.
So you didn't have big jumps from one click to the next.
Yeah. That was
gotcha.
a big thing.
Well, Rosita was using her steering wheel. Talk about low tech. So yeah, she was using the volume on her steering wheel when I first got in there. Skip Rutland, since he still has his RW audio line driver, those were pretty cool. Those were one-off line drivers. You tell him how many amps you have. You tell him what input you have and what amps you have, and he would literally custom build the line driver to your system. So he was a guy out of Canada. So smart dude, and just kind of put it all together. Did a lot with Don Hebig and Ray Choi, I believe, to come up with that design. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, why don't you tell us, Ray, about your competition life?
Well, let's go back a little ways. I had a big GMC G2500. It's about the same size as Bob Perello's old van. The
Okay.
T3.
Oh, okay.
Hey, that's somebody we haven't had on here. Haven't had Bob Perello on.
Perello.
Yep. So I originally started with that in Super Street No Wall. When we took it down to Spring Break Nationals, and
that's a big vehicle for No Wall.
it was. I did a lot of stuff with that.
Hey, Ray, you do know Jeffrey, right? He's Mr. No Wall.
Oh, I know a couple things about No Wall.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you knew about him and being the world champion No Wall guy, had the record for multiple years. So anyway, so he knows his No Wall stuff.
So when we took it down to Spring Break Nationals, I can't remember what year it was. Might have been 12. We managed to do a 160 with a fourth order band pass with 215s and 4 Mojo 4Ks way back then. We were running the Kinetic 24 Kinetic 16-volt batteries. And that kind of made my day because the judge from Trinidad, had to get pictures of it because he hadn't seen anybody doing a 60 on the dash with 215s in a no wall setup.
That would be Darren.
Yeah, that would be Darren.
Yeah, I know he judged I believe most of the Spring Break National DB drag events.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I think I judged 3 of them.
Mm.
It was either 2 or 3. So.
Then I went from there. I've had a couple trunk builds. I've had another IASCA build. It was a Geo Metro. I think it was doing 54s, and that's right around the time that they came out with the base boxing rules. Had to have the amp wired no less than 30% of what it was rated at. So if it was rated at 1 ohm, you couldn't be wired at 7. And that's when the EMF 1444s came out. And I think in the IDBL or base boxing, then you had to have a 6-inch aero port inside the box versus IDBL. Then what else? I've still got that van, by the way.
Real quickly, we just got a super chat from Michael Watson's.
Oh.
And he says, great show as usual.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I wonder why I don't see that on here. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd say super chat because it's done the same method as previous super chat.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
So, all right. And so you still have that van? Is it still the same setup or?
No, I've put probably 15 different builds in that thing by now. Right now, I've got it completely gutted again. I just ran it last year in NSPL, their wall class. Basically, Super Street 1-2 is doing a 66 with 2 subs and 2 DDZ12s. So I'm gutting it and I'm getting ready to rebuild it. But I've also just picked up a seat Marbella from a team DB Addicts. We just got back from the show in Newport, Tennessee this past weekend.
Okay. So where are you located and what area do you compete just in general?
We are located in Sumter, South Carolina. We typically compete Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia.
Can you imagine how much driving we would do, Jeff, if we hit that many states over here on the west side?
I think that's like half of California, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's still a good distance when you put them all together. But yeah, it's not like the West Coast.
Yeah, the Carolinas got some big shows. The Sundown show, I think that they have. Yeah, it's a big show.
And Triple Fest isn't too far from there, right?
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all good shows. All right. So you did mention the aeroports. So do you do the aluminum ones? Do you do the plastic ones? Which ones do you do?
We do. It's an ABS for the flares, and we do. We went to a manufacturer, and they're making the PVC for us specifically with our branding on it, and we actually mold the ABS flares in house.
Okay.
We have actually done, and other people have done, direct head-to-head testing with our product versus other products, and have seen as much as 0.3 of a gain on a direct pop, and as much as a 40% increase on airflow.
Okay.
but we actually wanted to mold the flares with dimples for screws and maintain a consistent radius on the flares.
Right.
And then that allowed us to work on our quality processes and manufacturing to where if you order a flare today, 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to get the same product and you're going to be able to use it again on the pipe that you have. So we can actually sell the inner flares, the outer flares, center sections. We did elect to do a single piece center section where you cut it to length, but we also offer replacement center sections. So it's not really the end of the world.
Okay. So all yours are PV. Have you seen the aluminum ones?
Like Psychoacoustics used to make.
I don't know who made them, but they looked really cool.
They were actually made out of sheet metal.
Oh, was it? So it was like brushed sheet metal to make it look like aluminum?
It's galvanized, and I think they polished it.
Okay. No, I did see some brushed aluminum ones somewhere one time, and those were pretty cool looking. Let's see. Mike Watson says, I made them, and consistent radius is so hard. Impossible at home. With the right tools, you can do it. Mike, keep trying. You can do it. And if you don't want to do it and don't want to take the time to learn it, I know a guy. This guy Ray here, he can he can help you out with that.
Yeah, or he can buy them straight from Dropping Hertz.
Okay.
On our website, the FU Audio website. So they're out there.
Okay. Do they just sit on a shelf, or do you make them to order, or how does that work?
We actually have a few distributors.
Oh, okay.
So we actually just mass produce them, pack them, palletize them. Dropping Hertz got a few pallets of them. Then there's a distributor in Mississippi that picked up some, and there's a few other distributors, and we're actually looking at exporting to the EU and Australia and probably South America and Brazil.
Okay. That's a pretty good distribution. Hey, there's a new name in the chat, Base Wars. So, I'm just saying.
Is that Bill? Bill himself?
I don't know. It just says Base Wars.
Oh, coming out of the YouTube side.
On the YouTube side, yes, sir. Yeah, that's a new name I haven't had on here before. So, but anyway, yeah, no, that's cool. Like I said, we love cool things like that. Jeffrey, did you ever do the flared ports? Because yours were just big open squares, right?
Yeah, I think it seemed like it was more popular with like the
street
CRX, CRX boxes, so to speak. And yeah, not really so much for like, I don't know, maybe like the Super Street cars. I didn't recall seeing many.
So
like,
I did test some of them on some of my Super Street cars, and it was just hard to reproduce the SPL levels with those on a Super Street on a wall, right? So we're talking, you got a wall, it's 22 cubic feet, and putting those on there, and then they start sucking up volume, and then it just made it difficult where the square open port just was super easy. But on the street builds, it was the jam, right? Like we were doing those in our extended cab truck builds. We would do 2 to 4 of them. One time I think we had 4 4-inch aeroports, the original aeroports, in one of our street stock builds that we did. So 2 L710 or 12s and 4 4-inch aeroports. So
was it because the enclosure volume was better for an airport as opposed to
I think it was port velocity. Is that what your testing showed, Ray?
Port velocity has a lot to do with it, but there are some factors on port area where, so prime example, 3 6-inch aeroports will outflow 4 4s, and then 2 8s flow 3 6s. So it's kind of, you have to find that happy medium of what you need. And it really comes down to what subs you're using, the motor force they have, and whether or not you can keep them from unloading.
Yeah. And you flare both sides, right?
Correct.
Yeah. We tried flaring one side, flaring both sides. So we went through all that kind of testing. And in our street cars, there was an advantage to using them because we can get through tuning them a lot faster.
Yep.
But in the walls, the time to tune them was because you have to take a, you take a sub out or whatever. But it was a pain in the butt to tune them in a wall. And so we never really did a crap ton of testing. I think we did like one 10-inch one time, which a 10-inch was freaking awesome. It looked really cool.
Oh yeah.
A 10-inch airport looks awesome. I think the flare on the outside was like 16 or 17 inches. It was as big as a woofer. So it looked really cool, but we didn't have an advantage to it. So Bill says, yeah, that is him. Thanks for having him on a couple weeks ago.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they had Base Wars at that Memorial Term show last
Oh
weekend
yeah,
too.
I think I saw Richard there.
Yeah. Yep. So you got a friend that came up with you there.
Oh, I'm just now noticing Ray's shirt. It's the Carlos Rodriguez Delilah shirt that he had made.
Yep.
That's cool.
So Carlos had that made?
Yeah, Carlos had a bunch of these made with
Okay.
all logos for all the sponsors. Like our logo's on the back of it. If you go back through the videos, you'll see the Mobile Audio Network logo. We sent a sub in for him to test. I think it was in season 1.5.
Mm.
179 dB or something like that.
Okay.
Which from which company specific was it? FU Audio?
The Mobile Audio Network one.
Oh, okay.
It's one that I built, so it doesn't really matter which company you put it under.
Tristan, like I said, he owns a shop in Barbados. He's asking, do you custom make the airports as well if you wanted some done?
Well, we actually mold them, so we have molds made for the 8s, the 10s, and the 12s. And we do a standard length center section, and they're all cut to length. So
no, we don't do custom ones, but they have such a variety of sizes that he's sure he has one that will fit your needs. Is that an accurate statement?
That's accurate.
Okay.
And when you start talking about tooling for a one-off size, I've been asked to make the 8.5 and the 9.5. And when you start talking about $5,000 to $7,000 in tooling, just 2 ports for somebody, it's really difficult to do it. I would love to just do nothing but do prototyping and testing and everything else, but we're not there yet. But it's coming.
Wow, that's very cool. So, let's see. Oh, he says okay. Mike says originally we want to do airports for his blow through, but the install would have been too hard. And yeah, it's just with a wall, it does make it difficult to do. But I'm telling you, with a box, you can pull out of the back and test. It is very convenient to have those airports. And for you guys, a couple weeks ago, we did some stuff about box building. And you want to know a little trick is if you do have a street car, whatever distance the port is, so if you have airport and say it's a 4-inch airport, if you stay 4 inches away from the back wall, you're going to find you get the most gain you can get. You get a little bit further, it'll start dropping. You get a little closer, it'll start dropping. But the best place to always start is this, whatever the distance is of whatever the diameter of the port is. That's the distance you want to be away from the closest wall. So that's a good starting point when you install a subwoofer, or a box into a street vehicle. So didn't know if you knew that one, Jeffrey, or not.
No, I'm trying to think. Do you recall Michael Hughes's CRX boxes? I think he would like fabricate his Aeroport out of like stack fab
Oh
type
yeah.
with wood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't even recall how big it was. But then if it was like so you're saying if it was like a 10-inch port, he would have to be 10 inches away from the back end of the port where his box needs to
Yes.
be.
Yep.
Okay.
That would be
Because I don't.
ideal. That's why
Okay.
when you saw the people take the sewer pipes in the CRXs, they would
Mhm.
turn them sideways so that they would get the distance they needed for the port,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Because I don't think his box was even. Well, his box might have been 10 inches because I know his woofers, the magnet, the motor would have been hitting the back wall. So
Mm.
it was probably at the most. I don't know. I didn't really check it out, but I know his boxes, CRX boxes in general, are pretty tiny with a huge aeroport coming out of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. Back in the days, that's what we were doing. We were testing all kinds of cool stuff back then.
mhm,
It
mhm.
that was a fun time in my life. I will say. Um, there we go. Excuse me. Anyway, so what are your future plans, Mr. Smith? Where do you see your company going? What do you see you doing?
Um, well, I'm probably always going to compete. I love to compete.
All right, that's a great
Mm.
answer.
We got the Marbella. We just ripped everything out of it today, even though we went to Tennessee Saturday. So we're rebuilding it for the XS
Mhm.
show coming up next month in Tennessee. I would love to have my dream job. There is somebody else that currently has my dream job. Props to him. Um, and that's pretty much I want to test and design and just enjoy car audio and get a chance to go to all the shows that I want to go. But man, it's hard when you run a full service shop and you
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
got to do installs that you really don't want to do some days, and try to have honest conversations with customers, which is probably the most difficult thing for anybody to do. Please
Yeah.
don't put CA wire in your car. Um, so continue to do prototyping and testing. Keep manufacturing new products.
Mhm. So are you talking about Jonathan, right? Isn't he the one that has the full time? Oh no, who is it?
I would think Jacob
Jacob. Yeah,
probably
Jacob, not Fincher. The other one,
Fuller.
Yeah,
Fuller. Yeah. So is that your dream job right there?
that is absolutely my dream job. Uh, Believe it or not, we met him right when he started Sundown Audio. He actually used to come
Wow.
down and compete with us. So we know him personally. We know all the guys that used to work there personally and work there
Mhm.
personally, and a lot of the team members. Um, and he worked really hard, and he had a bunch of support behind him
Mhm.
to build the company what it is today. And he is, in all rights, enjoying the fruits of his labor. And he's earned it and he deserves it. And
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I'm jealous that I don't have that job, but I want it, and I'm
And
gonna
I think with the acquisition, well, when
Scott. Yeah.
Scotty Johnson kind of took it over, it kind of gave Jacob more, you know,
Freedom.
freedom to do that. So yeah, I'd say that'd be a dream job for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you get to do a bunch of testing and stuff like that, Jeff? Over at at Crossfire?
As far as like
Like
SPL
yeah.
oriented, or I
Yeah.
know Roger would do some R&D stuff.
Okay.
That's because a lot of the competitors were obviously, like local.
Hmm.
So a lot of the Texas guys with big setups, anywhere from small setups to big setups.
Right.
Yeah, I know that's what the big thing was for like R&D wise.
Yeah.
I know when Roger was testing out some mids and highs, it would just be him in a room with the speakers, and he would play. I think he would always play "Dirty Diana" by Michael Jackson, and then
Dirty
that was his.
Diana.
That would be his the extent of his R&D. So as far
Okay.
as that kind of testing.
My daughter Kelsey's popping in on here. Hi, Kelsey. What's up? No, that like R&D. That's honestly how I started my sub company, right? So I was doing R&D for Arc Audio, and then it was after that I got with Don Hebig, and I was doing R&D for him, and it just made sense to start my own company, right? So that's actually how it started. The R&D part, you ain't wrong. That is super fun. I didn't, as a manufacturer, I wasn't a fan of the test to destruction, the TTD, because it was cool, and you got to find your weak points, but yeah, you destroyed your product and you just lost that value. And when you're a small nothing shop like I was, it's that little product loss kind of hurts. So, but
But you would want to know what the limits are,
but you
right?
do
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yep. And then we had, I had Scott Sanborn and Miguel Ayala, and they would test my stuff, on the street level. Miguel would be super street, and Scott Sanborn would be the street level, street stock class. So, a lot of companies have people that they trust to test, especially like Incriminator Audio, right? They got that whole crew, and that's a serious crew, and they're very good at logging their testing and doing all that stuff. So
veteran competitors.
yes,
Yeah.
they give honest feedback. Do you have your test guys there too, Ray?
A lot of it's me. I spend a lot of time tearing stuff up. But like you said, you got to find the limits of the equipment. And the reality is, when you're looking at manufacturing, you have to look cost and performance. So there's products for different customers, and you got to find what a good niche is. You've got some budget-friendly equipment out there. You've got some equipment out there that's super outrageous. And then you have some equipment that's just loud, and you try to make a comparable product as close as you can, trying not to duplicate another manufacturer's product because there's a lot of already going on.
Yeah.
So then it's hard to do something different. And then, you've got all these people that don't know me as a manufacturer, and you put information out there and they're like, oh, well, that's straight off of Alibaba, or, it's a cookie cutter product, and, this and that.
Yeah.
And people have opinions, but a lot of people's opinions are not based on facts or knowledge or anything else. They don't know me as an individual, and don't know, one, I have an amp dyno, two, that we rebuild subs, three, that we pull DATs, that we test things to failure, that we go compete, that we've been in the industry for, go back 2020 years, give or take.
Yeah.
So a lot of people see something and they don't know who they are, and automatically assume that they don't know anything. Oh, well, this is cheap cookie cutter, and, but when you manufacture a product like our new sub that's going to be here shortly, is a quad stack bolted motor assembly, 70 millimeter winding height coil. No, it's not 87.5 like the new M series. What isn't that product? It's a different product, different basket. It's one thing that I was very specific about. I had to have a solid T-pole construction. No two-piece assembly.
Mm-hmm.
If we were going to do a quad stack, which we did for, excursion, it had to be a bolted motor assembly. I don't want shifted motors.
You,
I want
you
to.
still can get shifted motors with bolted. Just saying, it takes more. You ain't wrong, but
Right.
but they do shift. I mean, it shears bolts. I mean, there's some serious forces behind those motors when you're doing that, right?
Oh, absolutely. But I wanted to make sure that I took every effort to eliminate as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um,
Belt and suspenders, right?
yep. But if you make a quad stack motor and you don't make it a bolted assembly, in today's society, the way that people demo and carry on, you're kind of asking for problems.
Yeah. Oh,
The
just
glue
your
can
motor
only
will fall
hold so
off.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your motor's just gonna slide down. That's all.
Yeah. But then the electronics that we're working on under Vital Power, it's not just one aspect of audio. It's what can I do to help any of it or all of it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, Jeff, we're running up on
Yes.
that hour pretty damn quick here.
Oh,
So, do you want to hit him up with the question?
yeah, sure. Okay, Ray. There's a question that we ask all of our guests, and we'll ask you this today. What is your definition of a bass head?
That is a very, very difficult question. Um, I would say that a bass head would be considered an audiophile.
Mhm.
That is a loose or generic term because there's no way to really define a bass head because you've got younger generations, you've got older generations, and even though that the music is different frequencies, different tones, if you enjoy bass or music or audio, even the SQ guys, those are bass head guys. They're just in a different area.
Okay.
So I think everybody is kind of a bass head.
Mhm.
And I think that we all should be able to get along. And I'll quote somebody, and everybody knows who this is, and it drives people crazy. But when you say bass is bass, it doesn't matter what products you run. Find something that you like. If it's budget friendly, great. If it's super expensive, great. Do it for yourself. I think that there's people now that do things to appease other people, to be famous, and that's what all the craze is. That's not really a bass head. That's look at me, I'm important. No, do it because you love it, not because you make somebody else feel good. If you're doing it for somebody else, that's like being in a marriage that's going downhill. If you're not making it work, it's just not going to be good. But there's a lot of things that get into that.
Yeah. Sounds like he was kind of talking about Moses, huh? Are you familiar with Moses Martinez?
I might be. I've got.
There's not that many people out there that love car audio as much as he does, and it's out there when he's doing it. So
Yeah, there's like guys that you could just see it.
right.
Whether it's that little twinkle in their eye, when they're all about their system, that's just what they enjoy. And yeah, I do understand, what you're saying too, and as you were explaining it to me, to us here, I couldn't help but think you do it for yourself, right? You're not, and I kind of saw similarities in like social media influencers, who do it for other people for views. If it's something that you like, it doesn't matter if you have like 1 or 2 viewers or 1 million viewers. It's not like the effort put in shouldn't be to do it for anybody else, just for yourself because you enjoy it.
I think that depicts. All right, Mr. Ray, why don't you plug where people can find your stuff, what you're going to be doing, any sponsors you want to talk about real quick?
I've actually had a lot of help from a bunch of people over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about Incriminator. It's always been really good to me at Incriminator. The guys at DD have been really good to me with stuff I need. I've even run Sundown equipment. So it doesn't matter who the manufacturer is. You stand behind the people that help you and stand behind you. But all our products can be found on Amazon, eBay, mobileaudionetwork.com, fuaudio.com. And we've got a few other online retailers. I know that they're on Dropping Hertz. And there's a few other websites that we're in the process of getting our ports on. But Vital Power is going to be a big thing coming with the new clipping indicator and RCA voltage indicator. I'm super excited about that. I can't wait for us to get those out. Those should be in the next couple weeks. And we got more stuff that we're got coming.
Awesome. Hey,
I can't wait to see the Marabella and what you guys do with it. I know,
yeah.
DB Addicts is maybe not widely known. Well, maybe I guess in some circles.
Right.
But I know if there's anything attached with that name, it's just loud vehicles. And then when you add in there the Marabella, So I can't wait to see what you guys do with that.
This weekend in Tennessee, we did a 64.4 in super.
Probably 100 watts, right?
A little bit more. But we did have 4 baby amps in there. Had 4 Incriminator 20.1s.
Okay.
So it wasn't a ton of power.
I just want to mention, Bill, if you're still in the chat, I saw you in there. If any of your judges want to come on here and talk about big shows coming up, just let them know. We're all about having them on. As we told you, we're not, we're DB drag centric because Jeffrey and I are DB drag judges, but we don't discriminate against any other organizations, and we're here to share everything we can about the car audio community. All right. Any final things from you, Jeffrey?
Nope, nothing. Just again, thank you to all the viewers checking out the show. Now that we're kind of in full force, so to speak, with Facebook and YouTube
and Twitch,
and Twitch, So just a big thanks, shout out to all the viewers and our listeners once it goes on the listen only podcast platform. So thank you.
Awesome. And then from me, next week we are going to have a psychologist on. This is Men's Health Month, and so we are going to finish off the month, the last day of the month, and I'm going to have one of my neighbors, a friend of mine. His name is Michael Williams, and he's going to come on here and talk about men's mental health, or just mental health in general. Doesn't have to be men. So please share this with everybody. We talk about on this show all the time. We don't get like super deep, but we do. At times, we definitely talk about where our heart lies and what brings us together, and because we're more than just car audio. Car audio's what we have in common, but we as people are more than just car audio. And go ahead, Jeff.
Well, how a lot of people come to find out that bass heads or just listening to bass is therapy for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So with that frame of mind, maybe we can get leap into or the depths of the psychology wise and why people listen to bass for therapeutic reasons.
I mean, it's an open book, right? Mm-hmm. And it's definitely something different that we don't do here very often, anything like this, but just in general, it's good to do a check-in, all your buddies, and hey, maybe you haven't seen this guy at the show for the last 4 shows. Might want to call them and say, hey, what's up? You know? And it's definitely, like I said, for me, it's going to be a kind of a special show just because I think it's, not that it's, the mental health is not a bad thing, and needing help is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you less of a person, doesn't make you less of a man. But anyway, so next week we're going to focus on that. So if you're just here for the car audio, next week's probably not your week, but you'll find out. We will still tie it to car audio, and I think it's important for all of us to have a understanding of ourselves and the people around us. We'll talk about, you don't ever know what situation somebody's coming from. You don't know if a guy just had broke up with his wife that he's been with for the last 10 years, right before he came to the show, and how we can be supportive, and because this is a community, and ultimately I do think most of us have each other's backs when it's that time. So definitely want to highlight that next week. So if you guys want to share with anybody and let them know, next week we're going to be doing the mental health podcast. Also, I talked to Cody today. We got some things in the background happening for the for the DB Drag Hall of Fame, or the SPL Hall of Fame, or whatever.
It was something else.
No. The DBDRA Hall of Fame. So we got that working in the background. He's trying to take care of some stuff. I told him I would help him with some stuff. So like I said, we're working towards that. We'll make a big announcement when we get some stuff settled. And for you people that don't know, Wayne today or this weekend made the new release for the Term Lab.
Earlier today.
Okay, earlier today. New release for the Term Lab to help squash some of the issues with the meter. So we were doing true power in DB Drag. Now it's going to be more of a dynamic power. So it's going to take peak dynamic power. So your scores are going to go down. It's the way I read it, and it's going to show a higher power rating. So.
Well, it doesn't go down any more than what I lost at altitude in Tennessee this weekend, would be all right.
So you know what? I will tell you a trick right now, Ray. If you're in altitude, try a different frequency. You shouldn't lose any SPL.
Oh, that car is so picky that it is within 0.2 hertz of where it needs to be at.
Okay. I just, in general, because we have people, so we compete here in California at literally sea level, and then we go to Reno and compete at 5,000 feet. Those two elevation differences, we've been able to fix the difference by changing frequencies, just when we go to the new altitude. So just suggestion. I could be wrong. I think I've been wrong before.
I just got to get more time up there. It was kind of a rush to get up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think it's general practice that you hit a new venue, or there's like an altitude change. You'd want to see if you definitely bring out your book and say, oh, at this frequency I did this at home. Now let's see what I do this at this frequency here at this show.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've got temperature, humidity, altitude.
Oh,
yeah.
So I record all that data. I just didn't have enough time to get a lot of more testing in before we got it on the meter. But yeah, it's okay.
Oh, you mean you're a competitor and you test? So odd.
Yeah, I actually have a notebook and it's not recorded on my phone. So I put it.
So, but all right, guys. I want to say I thank you. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. I'm gonna text Michael Mueller. We'll get him in the chat. Michael, he said he wanted to be part of that. Gary Killian, and Andrew McCain. All of them said this was an important thing to them. So they're all going to be in the chat next week for sure. We'd like to see whoever else. That will be on the 30th That'll be June 30th, 2025. If you're listening in the future. So yeah, we'll be live June 30th, 2025, 6:30 California time. Once again, the only time that matters. And we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have some mental health talk on here. And this guy's never been to a car stereo competition. So we're going to have to learn him about stuff. I did send him your video, Jeffrey. So
Which one?
Dinosaur Jr.
Oh, yes.
I sent him your Dinosaur Jr. just so he has he has an idea in yours and my head of what therapy is, right? This is what basic therapy is. Yeah. So he has an idea, and so like I said, he goes, well, do you want me to do a lecture? I'm like, no, we're just gonna come on here. We're gonna talk, and if questions pop up, and then you can help us. We'll see what we want to know, and then you can lead us to what you need us to know. And it should be, like I said, I hope and think it will be a very good conversation.
Might have to bust out some tissues.
I know. All right, guys, we will see you next week at 6:30 California time, the only time that matters on This Week in Car Audio. Peace. We out.